Hi, this is Tom. Uh, Tom Fenton. I'm a technical specialist for ControlUp. Actually, I'm a technical marketing manager. And welcome to this presentation, Control and Optimize VMware Horizon Environments. A little bit about ControlUp and what we do and where we came from. ControlUp is a venture capital-backed company. We've been around for about 9 years. We have this self-sustained business growth model. We've seen incredible growth year over year. We now have over 1,000 customers. You know, we work with all the major players in the business. We work with Microsoft. We support Windows servers, desktops. We work with virtual physical machines. We work with multi-user Windows 10 machines. We work with VMware. We fully support ESXi, vCenter, vSAN, Horizon. We also recently added support for NVIDIA. We can get GPU metrics from these NVIDIA cards. I actually got to spend a lot of time with NVIDIA virtual machines a while back. And these cards are fairly expensive. They're a valuable resource. And so you really need to monitor them to make sure they're being used effectively. And we allow you to do that. We also work with Citrix. We work with their virtual apps, desktops, Zen servers, and we even support the Nutanix Acropolis hypervisor as well as the vSphere hypervisor that runs on Nutanix. The architecture of ControlUp is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Don't let this slide confuse you or make you think that it's overly complicated. Basically, there's one exe that you download. You don't have to install anything. You can get it up and running in 5, maybe 10 minutes. And if you do have issues, we have a support organization that'll help you get it up and going without having to buy a contract to actually install it or get it running, so we're more than happy to help you out. It's a free download. Just go to ControlUp and you'll see the link there. It does run in RAM. It does have a RAM database, so it's extremely quick, extremely efficient. And then we have another feature called Insight that holds the metadata, and so you can get a longer insight to your environment. So what do we do? The first thing we do, and what we're kind of known for, is our real-time analysis. We do real-time metric. We refresh the data every 3 seconds. So you do have that real-time kind of environment that you can look and find issues in real time. I know some of the some other solutions, they have 20 seconds or 1 minute, and a lot of times you'll just miss these fleeting issues that can cause you a lot of pain. But we do it every 3 seconds. We also do remediation. It can be done with script actions or automation. And what this does is when you see an error or an anomaly is detected, we can go ahead and address it and correct it for you. So we do have this huge database of information, and so we can do benchmarking. You can do benchmarking, and you can it gives you the opportunity to compare how your environment is performing versus the rest of the community. All of our information is presented in a real intuitive manner. We have color-coded cells. We put things in columns. You can sort these columns. You can group these columns. So it's really easy to see what kind of issues you are having, and so you can address those issues. From day one, we've engaged with our community. We know that we don't know everything. We don't know all the issues that people are having out there. So we've really spent a lot of time developing this community relationship, and we have a lot of really smart people that work for different companies that are inputting information into us. We take this information and then we process it. We bring in new features based on this information. And we even have a way where the community can write scripts to address issues that they're having and then go ahead and share them with the rest of the community. When we do that, we do make sure that there aren't any security issues in them or things like that. So with these scripts, we do go through and make sure that they are valid and good. Automation. So when a metric passes a threshold, we can configure a trigger to execute an action. This can solve a problem or do some work to provide more context around a problem or be used to enhance the performance. And then finally, we do capacity planning. ControlUp Insights, it uses real-world metrics over time and can show you when you are overusing or underutilizing your virtual machine or hardware. I know this presentation was for general vSphere, so people who aren't real familiar with a VDI environment and specifically a Horizon environment, there are a lot of components in here. You can see up in the upper right-hand corner, we have the users that connect to their virtual desktops. These users can be using VDI clients, they can be using thin clients, they can be using repurposed PCs. It goes through something called a connection broker or connection server that associates these users with a virtual or physical desktop. And the thing is that ControlUp actually can analyze and monitor the complete stack. We can go out there and monitor thin clients. We have a way to monitor the Windows IoT thin clients. We just came up with a way to work with iGel to monitor their clients. We monitor the connection server. We monitor the virtual desktops at a high level, and you can even drill in and see the processes and manipulate the processes that are running in virtual desktops. We recently came out with a way to monitor app volume so you can see the load times in those. So let's go ahead and get into some demos and give you a real view of what ControlUp can do. We'll do some performance monitoring, monitoring and optimizing, and then we'll dig into the ControlUp automation engine and how we can help you with your self-healing so you don't have to be there 7/24. Things can correct themselves without any interaction from you. Let's go ahead and bring up the ControlUp environment here. This is what the ControlUp console looks like. This is where people spend a lot of their time. And I'm going to go ahead and look at my entire environment that I'm monitoring with ControlUp. So I'm going to go ahead and focus in on that. And up here you have a bunch of different tabs which you can look at. Right now I'm looking at the host view. You can see that the hypervisor platform, which hypervisor platform we're looking at, we have a few vSpheres, some Hyper-V, some Zen servers, the server model, uptime, CPU cores, all the information that you really need to know about that hypervisor. You can even tell the vCPU to physical CPU ratio if you want. Go a little bit to the right here, get into the networking information. We get into the hypervisor version. This is kind of nice if you have a bunch of different hypervisors in a VDI environment. You probably want them all to be on the same hypervisor, so it's a real easy, quick way to see that. Pull back over here. You can see all the machines. The machines are either the physical machines that we're monitoring or the virtual machines that are running on the hypervisor. You can take a look at sessions. These are all the connections people are making to their virtual desktops. Over here, you can do a search session. So if you have a particular user like Tom F., you can go ahead and just show the sessions that he's involved with. Like I said, you can really dive down deep into what systems are doing. You can look at the processes. Here we can see processes and what kind of resources they're consuming. You can take a look at their applications. So really gives you a deep introspection into the virtual desktops, what's running. And we even have some storage information that you can go ahead and show. You can see how many IOPS, and again, things in red mean that we're having some issues there. We might want to address them. Let's go back to the host view, and I'm going to take you through a scenario that I know when I was a sysadmin, this is kind of a common when you have someone kind of consuming resources. And so I'm looking at the host view. So these are the hypervisors, the machines that the hypervisors are running on. And I see a stress level here of high. And the stress level isn't, you can configure this to meet your needs. You know, some hypervisors, some systems run it, you know, 80%, and that's okay. That's normal for it. So you can set that. You can define what you want that to be. We do have, you know, out of the box configuration, but it's real easy to configure. In this case, it's showing that we are having a stress level of red because of the consumed memory and the data store read-write ops. But more importantly, we have this virtual expert that gives you a suggestion for the next troubleshooting tip. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the host view here, take a look at it, drill down a little deeper, and it looks like we're having some issues with the data store read-write ops. It's consuming a lot of read-write ops. So again, I can go ahead and use my virtual expert to take a look at it. And it says you might want to take a look at machines, sessions, processes. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a look at the sessions on it. Take just a second to do that. And we have this session here, this user storage dev. He is the guy using all of the IOPS. This point, I think I want to have a little talk with him. So I can go ahead and bring up the chat box here and say, hey, what's up? Why are you consuming so much IOP, right? And go ahead and send the message to him. Wait, you know, doesn't respond back, still an issue. So maybe at this point, I want to see if I can take a little peek at his desktop and see if I can get some more insight to what's going on. So I can go here and get a screen shot of the session. Have a couple different options. You can do it without notifying the user. You can do it with using the with notifying the user that you are taking it, and then you can ask them if you can take a screenshot. So they'll get a message saying, "Hey, is it okay if we take the screenshot?" And yes, this is configurable. We know that this has some security implications attached to it, so you can set your rules around it to maybe disclude certain virtual machines that are sensitive and you don't really want to take screenshots. But I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot of it. And it looks like he is running a process here. It looks like iometer, and he is just slamming the system. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and use my virtual expert again. Oop, my mouse is a little bit funny there. And it says navigate to processes. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate to processes and look at that. There is the process on this virtual machine, on this ESX host that is consuming all the resources. And, you know, I have some options at this point too. I can get a process memory dump if I think that it's a process that's gone rogue. In this case, I don't think that's the issue. And I have these other actions I can do it with it, do to him. You know, I could RDP into the machine, take a further look at it, or I can actually manage the process at this point. If I know it's something that I don't want to be him to be running, I can go ahead and end the process. I can kill it. Maybe I do want him to run it, but I don't want him to consume all my CPU cycles. So I can set a process affinity to it, or maybe give it a process priority, give it a lower process priority so it won't consume the cycles when other people need the cycles. Or maybe I want to go ahead and start some CPU throttling on it. So we went from a very high level view. We had an ESX host that was consuming a lot of IOPS, drilled down into the machine, drilled down into the user, and then drilled down into the process, and then can control the process. Another neat thing that you can do with ControlUp is if you have certain processes that you don't want users to run, then you can go ahead and put those in a blacklist where they will get a message when they try and run a process. Maybe you have people who are running VLC, they're playing music in their background, and you just don't have the cycles for them to do that. You can go ahead and put that in a blacklist and not allow them to run it. So very powerful tool here. Like I said, this is where a lot of people spend their time, just in the ControlUp console. Let's take a look at another scenario here. I am going to go back up to my Acme and focus in on that guy. And then let's say that I have and I'm going to look at the machines here. Say I have a user, and I'll be the user, Tom F, who calls me up on the line and says, hey, I'm having issue with one of my sessions. The response is really slow. Can you help me take a look at it? So I go into sessions, take a look at it. And what I want to look at is his user experience. In specific, the user input delay, because that's, he said, you know, things just aren't being responsive. And let me bring up his desktop. It's my desktop, so I can do this. And what he has is a 3D model here that he's trying to move around. And if you watch the user input delay there, you'll see that it's going up 16 milliseconds. And you can say, yeah, it sure looks like he is having some issues there. Things, 141 milliseconds. Things just aren't being very proactive with him. So I can verify that, yes, he is having some issues. So maybe I need to give this virtual machine more CPUs, more memory, something like that. Something that we've been working on, that me and my coworker have been working on, is saying, you know, so as a administrator, I can go ahead and, you know, reconfigure the virtual machine. But what happens if we just set up a trigger and a script to go ahead and give that process a higher priority? And we can see that the application that is running is this Acrobat 32 EXE. So what I started to do is develop a trigger here. When a certain issue is detected, then something's going to happen. So in this case, I created a trigger called CPU increase priority when user input delay happens. Just go here and edit it. And I set up the trigger so when user input delay is greater or equal to 15 milliseconds, and the name is the Acrobat Reader 32, I'm going to go ahead and do something. And that's something that I'm going to do is run a script action. And this script action is called set priority, process priority to above normal. Go ahead and get that. And we have a bunch of scripts. We have the community scripts. This is the ones that either we've created or the community's created and submitted to us for verification and validation. And you can also have organization scripts. These are scripts that you develop, that you work with. And I created a script called set process priority to above normal. That's the one the trigger executes. Let me go ahead and pull that guy up. Yeah, there we go. To process right there. Take a look at it. And there's the name of it. The settings. So we're assigning it to a process. That process is the Acrobat 32. And the script we set, below normal, normal, above normal, high, and real time. And then we'll go ahead and set that the priority of that process higher when we detect that the UI is being slow or draggy. So pretty cool stuff here. Well, let's go ahead and show you how easy it is to integrate this with your EUC environment. Over here we have the tree, EUC environment. All you have to do to add your EUC environment to do is go down here, add EUC environment. Then you have the option, whether it's a Citrix Zen desktop or the VMware Horizon desktop. You give it the environment name, give it the connection server IP address, and if you're using a different port, you can also specify that here. And then the credentials that it needs, and it'll be added. It adds the, cancel that guy out. It adds the connection servers and the desktop pools that it detects that are out there. Let's go ahead and drill into the connection servers. And the machines, these are virtual connection servers, so we want to take a look at the machines here. Oh, get rid of the Tom F over in our search columns here. And we'll see our 2 connection servers. We can see one of our connection servers is offline. We can't connect to it, so that connection server is having issues. We can tell the health of it. This is the big overview of it. How many active, how much CPU memory utilization it's using, the IP address of it, the URL of it, whether it's using certificates or not. Just basically all this information you can get from the Horizon console. You can get it from the ControlUp console as well. Even things like when it's licensed, when it will license will expire. And then you can drill down into the desktop pools themselves. Focus in on that. And if you get the overview, this shows all the desktops in all the pools, or you can drill into each different pool. Let me just pull the slider over here a bit. It gets all the information from Horizon, whether the system or the virtual machine's available, whether it's already being used, the status, and the status is for ControlUp whether we've installed the agent or not. If you do need to install the agent on it, you simply click this and say install agent. It'll go out there and automatically install the agent. The agent is very, very small, consumes very few resources. You just won't notice it, to be honest with you. Tell you whether it's operating or not. You can also perform functions on this. We do have scripts that you can run against it. Yeah, so apologize about my mouse being a little bit finicky this morning. Script actions, maybe we want to go ahead and reset the machine. We can do that using script, so you don't have to go into the Horizon console as well when you see an issue with it. While we're here, we do another interesting thing. I'm going to go ahead and dive into this floating desktop pool. And only show the machines there. And one of the issues that occasionally we'll see is that the Horizon agent will die on a virtual machine. So let me go ahead and simulate that. Again, you have this list of actions that you can do to it. You can do things like manage the file system, you can manage programs and updates, the registry, and manage services. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stop the service, the Horizon View agent. Right here, that guy is. And I'm just going to stop the service and actually verify that that's what I need to do. Let me go back to my organization. So we can see it, and hopefully we'll catch this in time. Okay, the agent is unreachable. Right there, agent is unreachable. And what I did is I came up with a trigger. And this trigger is called, yep, and you can see that the agent is available again. And the reason it's available is because this trigger goes out there, monitors it. When it sees that a system has the view agent not running, then it'll do something. In this case, it'll start it. This is what the code looks like. Monitors them and does this every 3 seconds. If the Horizon state is unreachable, if it's in error, if it's unknown, then it'll go ahead and restart the agent. There's the scope. We're checking all the virtual machines in the VMware Horizon folder. And the action is this script called restart the VMware Horizon agent. So pretty cool stuff. This is, I know everyone talks about this self-healing journey that people are headed towards, and this is a step in that way. We monitor things, take care of them. In this case, no one will even know that the agent went offline. We do have a log that you can go through and look, and you can send out emails if you want. But basically, we're solving a problem before people even know about it. We can take a look at historical data as well with the ControlUp Insights. And these are actually stored out in the cloud, our cloud, because there is so much data. We store a year's worth of data, and if you need more than that, you can work with us and we can store more than that, but by default we store a year's worth of data. You get top insights. This is the changes from yesterday to today. It gives you things like protocol latency, slowest logins. We have one login here, Jim, who is taking 144 seconds to log in. We might want to take a look at his desktop and see why it's taking so long for him to log in. We can take a look and see who's using our CPU cycles. Here's James J. He's using a lot of cycles. Might want to talk to him, see if he's actually should be using those cycles. Maybe he's doing something wrong. Maybe he's running an application that we can kind of optimize so it's not consuming so much. We can also go, take a look at the host, look at the computers, and the applications. See which applications are consuming a lot of CPU or RAM. We also do sizing recommendations. Go out there analyzing things. This is a very useful feature, very powerful feature. especially now. I think we have a lot of people who are overloading their VDI environments. We have a lot of new users that have been joined in the last month. And so we can't always get in new servers to add additional resources. So maybe we can optimize the resources that we have. So we help you with that. We can see right over here that CPU, we have, 77% of our virtual machines are over consuming CPU cycles. We've assigned more vCPUs to them than we need to. We can do the same with RAM. We can see that 53% of our virtual machines have more RAM than they really need. And of course, we can drill down and tell you which machines those are. So let's go down and say suggested CPUs and CPU recommendations. So all these guys can have CPUs removed from them. We can do the same with RAM remove. This one is heavily over provisioned. We have 14 gig assigned to it, and we suggest that you could get by with 5 gig of RAM assigned to you. So that literally could free up, let's see, 9, so probably 3 or 4 more virtual machines, virtual desktops. So these are the kind of savings that you can see by analyzing this information. We can take a look at user activity. Maybe we want to see how many people have logged on during the day, what our utilization is. So in the past 24 hours, you can see we connected computers, we have 100 connected computers, and we have people, it looks like about, can dive into this, 44 users logged on. Looks like we had a reboot or something around 4 o'clock yesterday. We can look at the last 4 hours, last 24 hours, last week, last month. And this will help us with our trending activities. If we start to see an upswing in the number of connected users, then we need to start thinking about adding additional resources or optimizing the resources that we do have. One of the issues that everyone's concerned about is logon duration. If when a user logs on, takes them a while to get their environment up and going, minutes seem like hours to users. So we can take a look at the logon duration, or if we see a spike in the morning, it might indicate that we're having some kind of a VDI storm, a boot storm, and maybe we need to add some flash to our systems to deal with that. And pulling down here a little bit more. There's our profile load time, so we get very specific. The group policy load time. An issue that a lot of people have is just these group policies take forever to be implemented on the machines. So we have that kind of granularity. And then we can drill down and take a look at things like the application statistics and drill down into that. And see what applications are being used by the different users. Maybe we have applications that aren't being used and we can go ahead and remove them and recoup that licensing cost. Or maybe we have an application that's being used by a lot of users and maybe we need to do things to address that. What else? Session logon duration. This is kind of an interesting one. This is a quick way to, I'm sorry, sessions activity. That's the one I was looking for. So we can see who's using VDI. We can find things, session duration. Maybe we have a user who has been logged on for days, and we might need to address that with the users. Say, did you really mean to be logged on for? Let's see what the guy is. Yeah, so 25 days. Did you really mean to be logged on for 25 days? You know, are you not logging off at night? Yeah, there's a lot of different scenarios there, but this gives you the tools, the information, so you can make that call. Going back to ControlUp Console, we also monitor NetScaler, so we can take a look at that information. NetScalers, a lot of people like those, use those, so we do have information there that you can take a look at. You know, how much traffic's coming into it, how much traffic's going out, how many HDX sessions they're being used. So covered a lot of ground here in a short amount of time. Let me go ahead and see if there's any questions. Doesn't look like we have any questions this time, but if you do have any questions, just go ahead and put them in the chat box there. All right, looks like do you have one question? What version of Horizon do you support? We support 7.0 up to the latest release, 7.12. Another question here. How long have you supported Horizon? Horizon is a new integration for us. We've been supporting it for about 6 months. And we've been hitting it really hard for the last month or two, but you can see, I think we took our experience with Citrix and we're able to use that experience to kind of address the flow that we're going with Horizon. Can you show us a little bit more what you can do with the connection server? Sure. Let's go ahead back to the connection servers here. Focus in on those guys. Go to the machine view. You can do things like put the connection server in a maintenance mode from here. You can, you can put it into maintenance mode. You can put the virtual machines themselves into maintenance mode if you want. You can restart them if they need to be restarted. Oh, what scripts do we have for Horizon? Here's the Horizon management. Said you can recover the machine. You can restart the Horizon machine. We have written scripts for Horizon. So you can go up to the script actions, search for Horizon. Oh, did I lose it there? Search for Horizon. And you can see the scripts here that we have for it. And we're adding to these all the time. We have a lot of the community, the Horizon community, that is interested in writing scripts for it. That's another question we get, you know, what languages do we support for the scripts? We support Batch Shell, we support PowerShell, and we support Virtual Basic. And you can see a few of the scripts that people have written there. Real easy to install them. You just click Add Script. It'll go out to our repository and download them and install them for you. And you can modify them. You can make them work for your particular environment if you need to. You can go to ControlUp.com, download ControlUp, install it. We don't pester you. You don't need to contact us to get a license or anything. You do get I think it's a 30-day license that's kind of wide open. And then after that, we kind of restrict it to, I think, 50 machines. But yeah, so thank you so much.